We now move on to the next session of the day titled Navigating the New Non-Linear Customer Journey.
Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Ronald Francis, and I'm part of the marketing team at Gupshup. And Ankur, thank you so much for joining us.
Thanks, Ronald.
And to discuss on the topic around navigating the non-linear customer journey. So, in the era of AI, I think traditional approaches that a customer would ideally take through the funnel has been deeply disrupted. So they no longer come through, the awareness, consideration, and decision-making, marketing funnel, and that has been largely disrupted thanks to the emergence of digital media channels and the ever-increasing use of mobile devices. So, Ankur, how has this impacted, marketing strategies for organizations, and what are they doing to remain agile in this non-linear customer journey, atmosphere?
Yeah. Good afternoon, everyone. First of all, I'm so sorry that this is the last session before lunch, so I'll try to wrap up as soon as possible. When we talk about the disruption in the field, I think the session that we had prior to this was related to cookieless world. So that is, I think, in today's world, the biggest disruption that we'll get to see in the marketing domain. And as per se, the whole, how the content is served, how we target the user, everything. So, earlier a lot of things used to happen on browsers because third-party cookies used to take care of the user targeting, how you identify the user, how you understand his whole journey, how you create the user persona. But now I believe that all this will move to cloud in the upcoming future. So we'll have walled gardens, you'll have data exchange rooms, you'll have data clean rooms, which will help enable the companies or the advertiser to share that user information, to share the first party cookies about the user and understand and target the user better. Second thing which we heavily focus is creating a customer data platform. So, people talk about first party cookies is when a user is coming onto my site and is browsing through different pages, he's doing some kind of action, he's clicking on ads. But how many of us are enabled to identify the user at a later stage, identify the whole journey of the user, create the user persona? So I believe even in marketing space, there are three things that you need to identify. First would be how to create the user persona. So for example, Ronald. Who's Ronald? What does he do when he comes on my site? What is he interested in? What is his age group? What is your gender? What's your net income like? So for example, if I want to run a campaign of Audi, now one option is I can just blast away the ad and show it to each and everyone. But that will be like a wastage of the campaign because a lot of users who are coming onto the site might not be able to afford a car like Audi, right? So I need to identify what your net income group is so that tomorrow if I'm running a campaign like this, I could be able to target a user who's like living in a metro city between the age group of, let's say, 30 to 50 segment, and who has a net income group of more than 30, 40 lakhs, and who's interested in a auto segment or who's interested in buying a car. Now, when I talk about interested in auto, that is a very difficult thing to track because that ideally is not part of your user persona, which we have never been able to track. It used to be tracked only through third-party cookies, but how will it be tracked with first-party cookies with user persona will be very tough to imagine. Second thing would be the user journey. Where is the user coming from? So for example, when we talk about non-linear, there are multiple segments where user does the research. So when a user is coming onto the site to buy or look for a stuff, he's not ready to buy the stuff actually. He might be coming on just for the research work. He'll go on the WhatsApp and ask his friends. He'll go on the Facebook, search on the Google, ask ChatGPT, what are the benefits of buying a product? Or let's say, what is the correct price I can buy it from? So there are different channels where the user will have his journey. He would have went through a lot of research, search, gathering information, asking their friends, and then deciding on when to buy the stuff. So that is where I should be able to target the user and show the relevant ad. The third thing would be where to target. So like you said, we have multiple channels now. So besides the normal platforms like Facebook, Google, now you have channels like WhatsApp, Instagram, Snapchat, Twitter, a lot of different places. So you need to identify where your user actually is. So I'll give an example. This interesting thing happened to me. So one of my friends was looking to go to Europe for a family holiday. Now, what he told me, the biggest research work that it did, just imagine the platform where he would have done 80 to 90% of his research. It's not travel blogs, it's not travel sites, it's not even Google. It's Instagram Reels. Yes. So Instagram Reels, first of all, it's completely personalized. As soon as he's starting seeing videos around Europe, they just flourished him with a lot of videos. Everything, spending 3 days in Paris, how to spend 4 days in Paris, how to spend 2 days in Amsterdam, which all places to go, which are places are like popular on Instagram. So that whole channel has changed from your normal run-of-the-mill platforms to these new platforms where people are now consuming the stuff. It's not, the traditional YouTube, somewhere has gone down, and maybe I believe that YouTube Shorts is the future, where people have already getting to see a lot of traffic. Instagram started as a image platform, but now Instagram Reels traffic has surpassed the Instagram image traffic, and that's a fact.
Right. So, Ankur, you mentioned these myriad channels that customers can leverage today, to get through at any point in time within the funnel. And you also mentioned, how brands are navigating in a cookieless environment. They're preparing for it, right? So, when you talk about these channels, especially, how can brands prioritize these channels, especially when it comes to accessing first-party data?
So for that, you first need to identify your user. So for example, if I'm looking to sell a keto diet, right? So I need to identify what my user segment would be. So for example, people who are, let's say, looking for a healthier lifestyle, people who have diabetes, people who have some medical condition, or people who want to be physically active in their life. Now, most probably a student or a teenager or a person between 15 to 25 segment might not be the right fit for this. But somewhere a person who's above 30, that is where they start thinking about they need to get physically active. They need to start concentrating in today's world. They need to start concentrating on their physical movement, their activeness level. So let's say that is your age segment between, let's say, 30 to 50. So you have different platforms. Now, if you want to target such kind of users who are 30 plus, Snapchat, let's say, might not be the correct platform for you, because your average age on Snapchat is much lower than what your target segment is. You are more, if you're running a campaign on, let's say, WhatsApp or through email targeting or on Facebook, on Google, that would be a better channel for you to target those kind of users.
Right. So, according to you, what channels? What are the top 3 channels that brands could look at, to engage and nurture their customers?
So I personally believe that you can't actually define, the top 3 channels that and only be targeting users on Google, Facebook, and Quora. So your channel will keep on changing as per your defined product, and not just your channel, the way of targeting also will change. So like I said, your traditional banners might have to be changed. So tomorrow you might have to start creating short videos around your product, around your brand, so that they can be promoted through YouTube Shorts or Instagram Reels or TikTok videos for that matter.
Right. And, we're talking about all these channels, right? But when you talk about internally for an organization, because of, the use of such omni-channel engagement, how can teams within an organization collaborate to ensure win-win situation?
So definitely, since we are talking about data, and I come from an engineering background, so data would be the key. So before targeting the user, you first have to identify the user, and that can only be done through data. The more first party data, the more user persona, the rich user persona you have, you'll be able to target the user better. So like I gave you an example of auto. So let's say I have a person who's coming onto my site and reading articles around auto. So can safely assume that this person is interested in buying an auto. Let's say a user is reading articles on how to save tax if you have an income of more than 50 lakh, or let's say 25 lakh. So I can safely assume that this user falls under a high net income. Another thing could be, what life stage are you at? So let's say if you're reading articles around honeymoon, travel, those kind of things. So somewhere I can safely assume that you are somewhere in that marital age, maybe around 27, 28, 30 kind of a thing. So that is where you are, and I'll add that into your user persona. So tomorrow it's not just about the marriage. Tomorrow, after a few years, I might say that you might be reading articles around pregnancy, or you might, after again a few years, you might be buying toys for your kids. After a few years, you would be looking for education for your kids. You're looking before family holiday. So not just a persona at that point, but if I'm able to track that which life stage you are at, I'll be able to track you for the next 10, 15 years at least. Because generally it's like a cycle. So, you start from school, then college, then job, marriage, kids, family, and all that. So I can keep tracking, and at a certain stage, let's say if I want to target you for insurance. So if I know what life stage you are at, I'll be able to do a better targeting for you. If you're looking for an auto, then you're definitely looking for auto insurance.
Right. So what's next in store? I mean, if we have to, see through the crystal ball, what is in store when it comes to, this constant disruption, of the customer journey?
So I believe that cloud, keeping these data on clouds, creating walled gardens are the way to go forward. Creating data exchange rooms, because, once these third-party cookies go away, we get into a cookieless world. It will be very tough to manage this data, because every company will have some or the other data. So let's say a publisher company might have your interest areas. Zomato might have your gender and age segment. Some MMT might have your traveling patterns. Some other company might have your income group. Now, your data will be now scattered across multiple companies. So you have browsed through all those websites, you have done some kind of activities, but there's no way how these companies will share the data. How do I identify you as a complete persona? So somewhere this exchange of data, the sharing of data has to be done on a cloud network. So earlier what used to happen on browsers, that will basically shift to a cloud ecosystem.
Okay, great. Thank you so much, Ankur, for sharing your valuable insights.
Thanks, Ronald.
We'll probably open the room for questions.
Yeah, sure.
This is Sudhakar Malpe.
Hello.
I represent a financial company which is almost 18-year-old, and it caters to various segments. Now, you have mentioned that the difficulties on cookie depreciation.
Yeah.
But do you see the same value for various segments of business, like real estate, travel, education, health? How do you tie up this slip between the lip and the cup? Thank you.
If I'm getting the question correctly, so you're talking about how does these different segments will tie up, with the data. So, like I mentioned, what are third-party cookies, first of all? So when you're browsing through different sites on your browser, So every site will have some of the information about your behavior, which they are storing in cookies, right? So if you have gone to MMT to look at a flight from, let's say, Delhi to Bombay, so Make My Trip knows that you are interested in buying a flight ticket. And when you're then again going to some other site, let's say Amazon, so your Google ad or some ad network, they'll show that same flight or a similar kind of a flight to you, because they now know through third-party cookies that you're interested in buying a flight, in taking the ticket of a flight. Now, the biggest challenge would be, once these third-party cookies go away, your ad slot, your ad network, which is there on Amazon, let's say, they won't be able to understand what you have done, what all other sites have you browsed, what's your persona. The amount of information that Amazon has about you, they can only play around on that first party data. So if Amazon knows, so first of all, this hyper targeting will go down, because you won't be able to target the user specifically for a certain segment. You'll have to create user personas and user segments. So let's say your age group, your gender, your net income, your demographics. Let's say you are living in Bombay. How frequently do you travel? How frequently, what age group your kids are in. So basis all this data, these companies will have to create personas of the user, divide them into different segments, and then target those ad basis that segment. So like I said, if I want to run a campaign of Audi, so somewhere your net income group will be the biggest factor in showing you a Audi ad. So earlier what used to happen, if you visited Audi website or some, let's say, car wale you have seen and you are reading about Audi, the next site will show you the Audi ad campaign. It's as simple as that. But now, if this next site, they understand that your net income is on a higher side, you earn beyond, let's say, 30-40 lakh, and you might be a probable buyer of Audi, and you're looking to buy an auto. So then this ad will be targeted towards you, not only on your browsing pattern. So first party cookies, the first party data that each site maintains about you, that will be the key in driving the future targeting.
All the data will be on the third party website. So as a security layer,
Yes.
what will be, how safe it will be? Because even the security, which is very, very safe, is been XYZ.
Yep.
So how will you manage that security in your side? So everyone are saying, okay, we will be having 10 layer, 20 layer and all that. But still, on one side.
So the biggest factor for security is your PII information. PII is personally identifiable information. It's the information with which I can uniquely identify you. So for example, your name, email ID, mobile number, your image, any document, Aadhaar number, passport number, PAN card, all these are PII information. Even your IP address is a PII information. But let's say your age group, your gender. If I know that you are a male, I can track this information. That is not a PII, because if tomorrow, let's say, this information gets leaked. See, the biggest challenge about security is, even if the information gets leaked, the infiltrator should not be able to identify you. But if I say that you are a male with 30 to 40 age segment living in Bombay, nobody will be able to identify you, right? Because there could be like millions of people under this segment. So that PI information has to be kept secured, encrypted, which nobody should be allowed to exchange. Rest of it, let's say your net income, that is something that we can easily exchange between the different companies. And that is where, you will never be targeting user on their PI information. I mean, your name is XYZ. You won't be running a campaign on your name or your email ID. It will always be on your requirements, your persona. So when we talk about persona, it will never include any of your PI information, which has to be secured.
Yes, we're done. Thank you so much, Ankur. Thanks, everyone. Have a good rest of the
Thanks,
day.
Ronald.
Enjoy
Thanks,
lunch.
everyone.